Hello, this is Dean Bostador back for another 5 Minute Friday with Thread Level. Today we're going to be talking about spoofing for email in exchange. So Office 365 is a great email platform. Unfortunately, you still have to worry about things like spoofing. So if you're wondering what spoofing is, it's basically when somebody who has malicious intent, they're sending you email that is tricking you into thinking that the email is actually coming from maybe someone within your organization or somebody you trust or regularly receive mail from. For example, I just got one last week from someone that appeared to be from Amazon. Although it was Amazon for Business, and I obviously don't have a Amazon for Business account, but the email was telling me to reset my password, to click to verify, and basically asking me to put in some credentials for them to use to do who knows what with. So, and it looked very, very similar to something that I assume I might see from Amazon. Had the Amazon logo, had the form was very professionally done. Some of them are a little more obvious when you read. The English isn't always on spot, but yeah, this one was pretty obvious. So yeah, let's get into anti-spoofing. So here's a couple examples of what you might see where somebody has spoofed a message. So they might put the display name as Microsoft Outlook and make a domain that's similar to Outlook.com, but it's not really Outlook.com. It could be Outlook.com maybe, or something else. A lot of times on your mobile phone, it doesn't actually show the email address. It'll just show the display name depending on the app that you're using, and you actually have to click the display name to see the email address that it's coming from. So if somebody knows, I don't know, who your boss is, they may send you an email that looks to be from your boss, asking you to do something, maybe get some gift cards or something for a marketing event or who knows what, and you go ahead and do it and give them your information or gift card numbers or whatever, and now they've spoofed you. They're actually, it's more of a phishing attack, but they use spoofing to get away with that. So always check the sender email address if you see something that might look a little weird, to make sure that that domain is actually the domain that belongs to the sender. So further, they can actually spoof the domain itself. So, that kind of gets around the, clicking on their name and making sure that it's coming from the domain. So it's like, what do you do about this? So if you're an Exchange administrator, there's basically 3 ways that you can do it yourself. The first thing you're going to want to set up is SPF Records. What those records are public domain records that identify your mail servers or services. So if I send email out to somebody, their email server is going to look at the domain and then check my SPF record and the IP that the message came from and determine whether or not the email actually came from one of my authorized servers that I've set up in my SPF record. If the IP doesn't match, and the email came from a server that I didn't designate in my record as a server that's allowed to send mail on my behalf, then depending on the spam filtering, they could go ahead and block it or put it in the quarantine. So that is SPF. The next thing you want to maybe configure is DKIM. DKIM is it's a digital signature that's attached to the email messages, so that when the recipient gets the email, they'll look at that signature, they'll check your public DKIM records, and make sure that those things match up and that it's authenticated. If it doesn't match, again, depending on their spam settings, it could just go to spam. It could still get delivered. So if you're an email administrator, make sure that you're checking those things. The third method is DeMark, and that's going to use SPF and DKIM together. So it's going to check the SPF record of the email. It's going to check DKIM, make sure those things check out. If they do, then it's going to go ahead and deliver those things, deliver the message. If they don't match, you can set your DKIM or your DeMark record to either reject it, put it in quarantine, or do nothing and just monitor those things. So those are basically your three methods of protecting yourself against spoofing. Although Microsoft 365, they've got a lot of built-in methods that they use above and beyond that. So they're actually already checking SPF and DKIM on your behalf, even if you don't have those records in place. They're gonna be checking those things. And actually, here's a good graph. So basically, Microsoft looked at this. There's 60% of Fortune 500 companies that haven't published their records and they're vulnerable to getting spoofed. 31% they publish records like DKIM, DeMark, but they're not actually doing anything. They're just kind of monitoring. Only 6% are actually rejecting, 3% are quarantined. So spoofing attacks, phishing attacks, they're all over the place. So if you're on Office 365, there is some automated protection that's built in, but you're still going to want to make sure that you're putting in DKIM, DeMark, SPF, just securing your domain. So Red Level can definitely help you get those things configured, set up to the way that you think you'd like those to be set up, and provide some consulting around that. So thanks again. This has been another 5 Minute Friday, and have a good day.